Hey guys, welcome back. Today's video, I want to show you the difference that I've kind of noticed between a GSX sponson and the XP Limited sponson. Not only the different color, but the pattern is the same. The bolt pattern is the same between the two of them. So you can interchange them, but it's what's on the bottom that's where the big difference is. And so let me show you that now. So this is a sponson off of a 96 GSX. Now the shape of this sponson in 97 was the same, but they're different color. In the 97 GS and GSI, they also have the same pattern, but I don't know if they're different part numbers. And I don't know if they're different part numbers because they're different shape or they're just a different color. I don't know the answer to that. 97 XP was probably more like this one, and this is and the 98 XP Limited was like this one. The GS and 98 also, I believe, has the same pattern, but it's a different, probably just a different color. It's probably more like this GSX sponson, I think. And then the GSX Limiteds, those are also different part numbers, so they're probably different colors too as well. You can see I've measured out the distance between them all, so I can interchange them all, or see how they interchange with one between the other. The tops of the sponsons, which they don't do a whole heck of a lot in relationship to the handling, I don't think. But the top of the sponson, I have a straight edge here. I'll just use a piece of aluminum bar here. The top of the sponson, you can see it's got a little bit of a concave shape to it on this GSX sponson. This 97 GSX sponson's the same way. My 97 GSX back there, that one was the same too. Although I got racing sponsons on it now. Beach House. I call them Beach House sponsons. This one's off of XP Limited, from what I understand. I ordered off of eBay. That's what came. But you can see on the top, this is a completely different shape on the top of the sponson compared to the top of the GSX sponson. So this is concave, and the top of the XP Limited is convex. So that's the top of the sponsons. Now the bottom of the sponsons, that's where all the business happens on, as far as how your jet ski, your SeaDoo handles, is all dependent on the bottom of the sponson. Now, the one thing that's constant when you mount a sponson, it doesn't matter if it's this sponson or this sponson or the aftermarket sponsons, the bolt holes that you have in the hull, if you don't move them, those bolt holes they're going to be the same. So no matter what sponson you're mounting to, the bolt holes are always going to be in the same location. So take that into consideration now. Let's just say, for instance, and this is not going to happen, but let's just say, for instance, when they go to cast these sponsons around these studs, I should get a stud here and show you what it looks like. All right, so this is on these sponsons, these studs that are cast into there. This is what it looks like from one of my broken ones that I've got. So it's got the turn down end on there, which really helps starting the nuts and washers when you put them on there. This is the part we don't see. It doesn't focus very well, but basically it's just a hex nut or hex of a bolt, and that's what's cast into there like so. Now this doesn't happen, but let's just say, for instance, just for conversation's sake, like I said, all the holes in the hull, they're going to stay in the same spot. I mean, we can move them if we re-drill new holes in the hull, but the holes are going to stay in the same spot 99.9% of the time. But let's just say, for instance, when they go to cast this sponson around these studs, let's just say that the stud is not in the right location by 1/8 of an inch or something like that. That changes the bottom of the sponson in relationship to the center line of the bolt. So let's say that changes. That change makes some difference on how your SeaDoo is going to handle whether it's in rough water or carving hard corners. You'll notice it mostly then, at least I do anyway. So taking that into consideration, the center line of the bolt in relationship to the bottom cutting edge here is what's going to really determine how these things handle. So from the center line of the stud to the bottom cutting edge here, that's what's going to really determine if that thing's going to carve hard in a corner, or is it going to keep the nose down planted, going through some good chop too as well. The less deep these are, you're not going to have as good of tight corner handling. And I think it's also going to notice that it's going to cavitate more. When this rides higher out of the water, it doesn't have a tendency to push the bow down. It keeps the bow up higher, and you'll notice it cavitates a little bit more, wants to ride on top of the waves more. When the bottom of these sponsons has less depth from the center line of the stud to the bottom. That's the way I interpret it. That's what I notice when I'm riding. Maybe you got a different way of explaining it to the other guys out there. Go ahead and comment down below if you got a better way of explaining it. But let me show you how much difference there is between the XP sponson and the GSX sponson. So I'll do the best I can to explain what I got going on here. I got just a regular adjustable protractor here, but I have it set at 0. I put my machinist square in here and got that squared up. I was going to set the mounting surface onto the top of the scale here, and then I was going to slide it along until the bottom corner here of this sponson touches that surface there. What we're really trying to pay attention to here is where the center line of that stud is at in relationship to that 10-inch mark. So from where the sponson touches the protractor here, right about there, so about an inch and a 1/16, somewhere around in there, from the center line of the stud to the business end, the business corner of the sponson here. And that's the GSX sponson. So let's take the XP limited one. We'll do the same thing. Take it and mount it on, or set it onto the mounting surface, and we're just going to slide it up against here until that corner, the top touches there. Sorry, I got some silicone on there from when I used it before. But you see how much difference there is now? It's like 3/4 of an inch. So from the center line of the stud to this edge here is 3/4 of an inch. And on this one, from the center line of the stud to the edge out here is 1 inch. So that tells you that corner, that edge is a 1/4 inch lower on the hull, going to be a 1/4 inch deeper in the water. And that's why when I switched from these sponsons to these sponsons, my GSX didn't handle near as good. And the mileage was probably better. The GSX didn't handle nearly as well. I couldn't cut sharp corners with these sponsons as good as I could with these sponsons. Now, the reason why I went with these sponsons off the XP, I knew that they had the same, they had the same pattern, so they were interchangeable. I could take off the GSX and I could put on the XP sponsons. I knew they were interchangeable. And the GSX sponsons are hard to find because, see how that's cracked right there? So they crack a lot, and I may or may not have been wake jumping. I don't know. I can't see how that that would happen. But I actually snapped one of these in half, and so I rode back to the boat ramp and had one of these. This edge here was like pointed straight up, and this end here was gone. And so I rode back to the boat ramp, came back home, and did some research and found out the XP Limited will interchange with the GSX. But I didn't know that they weren't the same shape. I went ahead and ordered these, put these on, didn't even pay attention to the bottom shape of these things. Didn't even pay attention to that. Went out and rode, and it's probably the next weekend or something like that. And that thing did not handle very good, like I wanted it to. I mean, it handled fine, but for the hard riding that I was doing, this sponson worked better than this sponson, and I wasn't sure why. Now that I've done that, looked into this a little bit more, so I ordered the XP Limited sponsons because these GSX ones are hard to find in good shape that are not cracked like that. Usually they're cracked like that. Now the XP Limited ones here, no crack, no crack, no crack, no crack. So I don't know why these have a tendency to crack more than these, but these are much harder to find. So I just went with this one. And now that makes me wonder, if you had an XP Limited, that's the one with got the parabolic hull, kind of like the HX. HX was a predecessor to that one. It's got the suspension seat in it and that kind of stuff too. And let's say you couldn't find aftermarket sponsons. I guess you can't see them, but that GSX got the aftermarket sponsons on them. But if you switch from these sponsons to these sponsons, the GSX sponsons, I wonder how much more different that XP Limited would handle. That would be interesting to ride them. I'd be interested to see how that works. Anyway, that's what I wanted to show you, the difference between the GSX sponson and the XP Limited sponson. They do interchange, but they're not the same. All I got for right now. Thanks for watching. We'll catch up to you later.